Just kidding. Okay, so welcome everyone. We are so excited to have you tonight. So I'm kind of co-leading this class with Lauren, who is a physical therapist and running performance coach, and then Tucker, who is an endurance athlete coach. And I'm Hannah, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm a wellness chef and holistic nutritionist. So we thought it'd be really fun to kind of combine these different strengths of all of us and create a nice plant-based meal for athletes or for non-athletes, something that's delicious and it's light, because I know after a long run, Lauren and I discussed a lot of times you don't really want a heavy meal. So this is light, but it also gives you protein and nutrients. So that was kind of the premise on tonight's meal. Lauren or Tucker, do you guys have anything to add before we get chopping?
Sure. I guess I'll add something quickly. I do unfortunately have to jump off, but this was a perfect time that worked well for our East Coasters in particular. So, and for those that are watching the recording later, I'm sure they're going to enjoy the class and enjoy the meal, more importantly. But I guess the only thing I'll add is just that, 3 years ago, I was eating a very standard American diet, and I transitioned to eating plant-based. And as an athlete, there's a lot of people that question if you can, run a certain amount of miles a week or train for marathons and things like that on a plant-based diet. And I found it to be not only okay, but honestly has helped my performance, and I'd feel better in every way. And so it's been a great transition for me. And I think the biggest challenge for me and for a lot of people when they're considering more of a plant-based diet or more plant-based meals is just the process and getting out of their comfort zone, cooking things that they're not familiar with. And so that's why I love what we're doing here, because having a little bit of guidance to cook something that maybe you don't normally cook and cook with ingredients that you don't normally use, I think is really helpful to just get more comfortable cooking delicious plant-based meals. And that was a big revelation for me. Was I thought that plant-based meant you ate a salad, for lunch and dinner every day. So, figuring out that you can
salad club.
Figuring out you can make delicious meals without animal products was a big revelation for me, and has made it so that it's not only helping my performance, but it's also enjoyable, because that's really the important piece. It's like, you've got to enjoy what you're eating if it's going to be something that's sustainable long term. So
totally,
that's all I wanted to add. Unfortunately, I do have to head out soon, but I hope you all enjoy the
Thank you, Tucker.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing us together, Tucker.
I'm going to add that salads made by Hannah can be like really good though, because you posted something a couple of weeks ago. It was like your take on a Caesar salad.
Yeah, I did a vegan Caesar salad, Tucker. You'll have to try it.
And this one over here, my boyfriend made it the other night, and it was absolutely amazing.
That makes me feel good, Lauren, because that was the first time I had made it, and I was just like kind of dumping stuff in, and I was like, I think it's a quarter cup, but like, I'm not sure. Here's the recipe. And so I'm glad
it was delicious. And it was like, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm eating lettuce. And Caesar dressing. Like, there was so many different textures in it and like flavors. It was awesome. So yeah.
I love it. All right. Well, Lauren is going to be chiming in as we go along to add any tidbits. And this is super casual, so feel free to unmute yourself, ask questions as we go about nutrition, cooking, life, whatever. So that being said, we are going to go ahead and get started with our sweet potatoes, because those take the longest to cook. So I just have a regular sweet potato. You can peel it, but I tend to be a little lazy in the kitchen, so I'm not peeling mine. And I like the texture of the skin, and there's a lot of nutrients in it. So I'm going to keep my skin on. And so basically with a sweet potato, I just like scoot you in close here. I like to kind of cut it into like in half and then into little circles like this. And then I kind of go from there and cut it into 1-inch cubes. It's not, there's like no exact science, just as long as you know, get somewhat of an even shape across your sweet potatoes. I have about 1/2-inch to 1-inch cubes here. And so what I'm going to do with this is just put it onto a sheet tray or a roasting tray lined with parchment paper. And the parchment paper is amazing because it means I don't really have to clean my pan. I just kind of take a paper towel at the end and wipe off any grease. Such an easy cleanup. Because that's like, you know, you don't want to be spending hours doing dishes after you make a meal. So parchment paper. And also it helps get the sweet potato nice and crispy, which I appreciate, without sticking to the pan. So you can use less oil and still get that nice char on it. So you can do 1 large sweet potato or 2 small. I had a pretty big one, so I'm just going to do 1 sweet potato today. But like on the topic of no boring salads, if you wanted, this is like this is like screaming for a meal prep opportunity. If you just kind of wanted to roast 2 or 3 sweet potatoes and keep it for the week to throw on top of your lunch salads or just to kind of pick out in the fridge. I love sweet potatoes.
Any comments on the different types of potatoes that exist? Because I feel like there's so many, and I probably always gravitate to the first, like always like a russet or a sweet potato. Be curious to know people's feedback on the other types.
I fucking love, I'm sorry, I'm going to throw F-bombs in here. I love purple sweet potatoes.
I recently also discovered purple sweet potatoes.
Oh, they're amazing.
It's like Japanese sweet potato.
Yeah, they're called Stokes sweet potatoes.
Yeah, it was so funny because I had it in one of my cooking classes and I cut into it in front of everyone and I was like, why is this white? And someone on my class was actually like, oh, that's a Japanese sweet potato. And I was like, huh. But it was so fun, and it tasted like a marriage between a sweet potato and a potato. It was cool.
I love, there's a bag of chips, I'm blanking on the name of it now, it's like a root medley.
Tara.
I think it has this little like Japanese, like a light white with like almost like a red vein in it.
Yeah.
They're also very good, yeah.
It's the Tara chips. I've had those. They're perfect.
Yes.
Okay.
So for me to throw in like a little running tidbit here, because Hannah had just mentioned how like sweet potatoes are fantastic to just like throw on like a salad. When you're carbo loading, if you're training for something, whether that be running, I know a lot of us are runners here, or if you're training for any type of event, a lot of people assume that carbo loading is like the thing that you do the night before the race, but that's not actually true, especially for women. We do not absorb carbs and like immediately distribute it into our muscles and into our body to be able to be used efficiently via one meal. So it's more actually advantageous to have that dose of carbohydrates increased throughout the entire week leading up to your event that you're training for. So if you already pre-cook something like Hannah is suggesting and like have it available to throw into your salad, you just take an extra like 1/2 cup of that and throw it in, and that gives you an extra couple of grams each time that you are taking in carbs to help preload for that race.
I love that, Lauren. And it's like half the battle / like, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of the battle when it comes to eating well is just making it like easy and accessible, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, if it's in your fridge and it tastes good, you're gonna eat it. Spoiler. We just like to make the process a little more fun. Okay, so once you guys have your sweet potatoes on your pan, we're just gonna drizzle some olive oil over the top. It'll be about a tablespoon. I rarely measure anything, so I'm sorry for like really type A cooks out there. I'm not one of them, but do just a little drizzle, or you can measure a tablespoon. And then to that, we're gonna add a sprinkling of salt. I like to do it from up high just to get a nice even distribution. So just a pinch in between your fingers, and pepper, of course. And then for sweet potatoes, my go-to spice or seasoning is actually curry powder, which is kind of random for this dish. It's not Indian or anything, but I just love it's kind of like a warm, savory sweetness spice that it adds, which I think complements the sweet potato really nicely. And it's kind of just like an extra warming effect on the potato. So I'm adding
anything that makes me say what I want.
Right? Yeah, technically speaking, I'm not giving you like gram facts like Lauren is, but I'm giving you the sound effects, which I feel like is just as effective.
I want food that makes me dance and sing, please.
Yeah. So get enough on there so that you smell it and that you're feeling it. And then from here, you can add like literally anything. You could stop here. You could add paprika. You could add smoked paprika, chili powder, rosemary. I'm going with smoked paprika tonight just because I like the color and the flavor, but I think in the recipe I said chili powder, but I have commitment issues, so I don't like to commit to the spices I tell you guys to use. Okay, and then give it a nice shake, mix it all up. It smells delicious already. And then we're just gonna throw this into our oven. I put mine on the bottom rack just because I'm one of those people that really likes when it gets a little crispy. I think it caramelizes the natural sugars in the sweet potato. But if you like yours not as crispy, put it in the middle rack. Super versatile, if you can't tell. And then once you guys have your tray in the oven, just give me a little wave. You good, Tim?
I'm almost there.
Okay.
I'm adding some adobo.
No rush. We're all waiting for you. No, I'm just kidding.
You can jump ahead. I'll follow suit.
No, we're good. We're good.
Shade thrown.
What'd you say?
So much shade just thrown at Tim right now.
He's freehanding, which is fun. I love the thing about cooking. It's like it's so flexible. It's not serious. It's like, what's in your fridge? Let's figure out how to make it taste good. Buona notte.
Ready.
I did study culinary school in Italy, which is why that buona notte just came out. I don't even speak Italian, but okay. And so the next ingredient that we're gonna do is our chickpeas. So I love chickpeas because they come in a can. I can keep them in my pantry on hand whenever I want to use them. They are so versatile and just add a nice crunch, nice extra texture, and some protein and carbs to your dish. So I think this is super good post run, anything, or even if you're not running, they're good. So I just drained mine and I'm going to put them in the same setup, a sheet tray lined with parchment paper. And you just kind of want to take a paper towel and really roughly just kind of dry them off. The more moisture that's on the chickpeas, the more that they'll steam, versus if they're a bit drier, then they'll get crispier.
Hannah, do you wash your chickpeas or do you just like straight up throw them in?
I rinse them for like 5 seconds under the when I drain them. And sometimes I don't rinse them. So, but my technical answer is that I rinse them. But just don't watch me. Okay. And then to season the chickpeas, honestly, I'm just going to do the same seasonings that I did for the sweet potatoes. So just a little olive oil, salt, pepper, curry powder. You can I like doing oregano sometimes or garlic powder sometimes. Whatever you're in the mood for, or whatever spice you're kind of trying to use up in your pantry.
Since you brought up post running fueling, I think it's like opportune to then talk about like one of my next points on that PDF that everybody's going to be getting, and that's replenishing your reserves. So it is super important for every runner to get in some form of calories 90 minutes after a hard effort or a race. So it's not as detrimental, I'll say, if it's like a normal easy day run or whatever it may be. But if you are doing a hard workout or you're racing, you want to replenish those reserves. So having something light like we're making tonight is perfect, or going and grabbing a smoothie or something like that. But we've already kind of talked about it, how appetite is suppressed after higher intensity activities. And that's actually like a physiological fact. When you have higher intensity activities, it decreases your hunger hormones. And so that's one of the reasons why it feels so hard after doing something really intense. You're not hungry, even though you're completely depleted, you're not hungry, because your hormones have decreased that sensation for you to be able to provide this activity and to do it well. But kind of in some ways forcing us to get that reserves replenished by 200-300 calories, primarily looking for like good carbs, good fats and things like that, that helps us rebuild all of the essential like muscular damage that we have caused in that period of time, so that the next time we go and do that same thing, we don't cause as much muscular damage, and we can do it a little bit better. And that's how we get PRs.
I love that. Before I go on to the next thing, I'm just gonna say, after you season that, shake it and put it in the oven too, just so that we can get those cooking. And I love that too, Lauren, because I feel like, you know, a lot of people find that when they're eating more whole foods, that they feel so much better in their body physically. And so when you hear like the term carb load, that's been kind of bastardized, you think like, oh, I got to eat pasta. It's like, well, no, actually you can make this like really nutrient dense meal and still get the results that you want in your performance or long run or what have you.
It's gonna feel like we almost rehearsed this, but I feel like we're literally just going down like each of like my points.
Oh, really? I haven't even seen the PDF yet, so I'm free flying. So
my next point is how like to become like a powerhouse in running, like you need to make sure not only that like you're getting your carbs, you're getting your fats, you're getting your proteins in, and also replenishing them at certain times but that you're eating whole foods to get those things, because those whole foods are going to be what is based with not only that, but like electrolytes and micronutrients and vitamins and minerals, and like having the skin on the potatoes, like that's going to give you certain like elements in the food that you wouldn't get from just processed bread or whatever it may be. So learning how to simply shop through the outer aisles of your grocery store, like the grocery stores are all based like that, where the inner aisles are the processed stuff. That's the stuff that we shouldn't necessarily be going after. It's fine to get some stuff out of there, we need it, but primarily filling your grocery cart with those outer aisles and like the perimeter of the grocery store, that's how you're going to get all of these nutrients within the food.
You have to do laps around the grocery store.
Yes, all the time.
Yeah, you do. No, but it's funny because Lauren and I have really different backgrounds, but we both kind of ended up at the same philosophy around nutrition. So for me, I have Crohn's disease, which is inflammation of the gut. So I had to learn, and by the way, I'm getting my blender ready for those of you who want to get that ready with me. So I had to learn how to heal my gut through diet. And simultaneously, I've studied nutrition, I've done all the things, and what it boils down to for me, because I'm an optimizer, I like to simplify things, I'm a chef, I don't like to overthink it. And so honestly, the two things that I think of when I'm thinking of making a healthy meal is vegetables, number one, number two, whole foods, which means one word ingredient foods, like chickpeas or cauliflower or quinoa. And honestly, to me, that helps to really quiet like the diet mind chatter, because I feel like we can all succumb to like the diet talk and the diet culture and, oh my gosh, I shouldn't do this. It's like, no, you are allowed to eat pizza at your kid's birthday party. It's very encouraged. And for your other meals, just kind of think of vegetables and whole foods. And with that foundation, you can really add in the flexibility as you see fit. So I love the different perspectives. Okay, so I have a food processor and we're going to use this to make our sauce for the dish. And I'm like I feel like in every cooking class I do, there's a sauce because I just think sauces make those veggies and whole foods taste better. So I'm team sauce over here. So what we're making tonight is just picking off some mold off of my parsley. No, don't mind me. We're gonna make a lemon parsley sauce. So this I actually did learn in Italy. It's like one of the few things that I bring with me here because I don't cook a ton of pasta, but I do make this sauce a lot. So we're gonna want about a cup of this fresh parsley. If you don't have fresh parsley, fresh basil would be perfect here. But it's like this sauce is one of the first times that I actually saw that parsley wasn't just a garnish and that you could actually utilize it in cooking, which was in like a profound idea for me because I had never used it before. So I'll be curious to see what you guys think. Okay, so about a cup of fresh parsley into the blender. And then what we're gonna add is garlic. So we want about 2 cloves of garlic, fresh garlic. And so I'm sure most of you know, but I'll just show you kind of how I chop this. So I'm using the back of my knife and just kind of pressing the palm of my hand like that. And what that does is that just loosens the skin and makes it easy to peel this garlic clove like that. And you just pop it in.
Hannah, have you ever tried the like 2 bowl like trick that I like saw on TikTok?
No, Lauren, I haven't. I don't.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I really haven't heard of it.
So like there's this chef on TikTok and like he shows like how he breaks up garlic and he puts essentially garlic in 2 metal like mixing bowls and then he just like shakes the mixing bowls all up and like he like opens the mixing bowls and like the garlic's already all peeled and like whole.
That's cool. For me, I feel like I typically use like 2 cloves at a time. I feel like he was probably making chicken with 40 cloves of garlic or something because I find that it's pretty easy for me to just like smash one and, you know. And also actually, while we have our garlic out, I'm going to have you guys smash another clove of garlic. And this is going to be for our cauliflower rice. Just since our hands are on the garlic, I figure we might as well cut this now. So just take 1 clove separate from the ones that are in your blender and just give it a really fine mince. And we're going to set this aside for later. Just to have it all prepped, easy access for when we need it. Eric, do you need any catching up or are you just kind of here for the ride?
I'm just here for the ride. I love it. I'll go back and make it another time.
Yeah. No need to stress yourself out now.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've just really finely minced this 1 clove of garlic and I'm just setting it aside on my cutting board for later. And then in our food processor, we just have our fresh parsley and 2 garlic cloves.
Would a NutriBullet, like a small NutriBullet, work? Okay.
You might get it stuck and have to like push it down with a spoon a couple times, but the end result will be fine. Okay. And then the next ingredient that we're going to add to our blender is the juice of 1 lemon. So what this does is it adds such a nice freshness to the dish. Especially in the summertime, when you're eating like a warm meal, it's nice to have a little pop of freshness from the herbs, from the lemon. And if you have a juicer, that's totally fine. But for me, I don't. So I'm just kind of juicing it flesh side up and catching the seeds in my hand. Okay. And then after you juice the lemon, you want to give a generous pinch of salt and pepper. And then you can just start to give it a pulse. Chop the parsley, chop the garlic. And then from there, we're going to stream in some olive oil until it creates a sauce. It's about a third of a cup, fourth of a cup. Tim, we lost you for a bit. Do you need some catching up?
I don't even want to talk about it. I got kicked out. I don't know what happened. Technical difficulties, kind of trying to get back in, but I'm back.
Okay.
I'll follow along. You can jump in where you're at. I know what's in the instructions of what to do, so I'll catch up.
Okay, so I'll just give you a rundown. We're in our blender right now. We have parsley, garlic, lemon juice, and we're streaming in olive oil. And just in time for me to reveal the secret ingredient, which is so bizarre, but it's actually ice, which is one of the things I've learned in Italy. You add like 2 ice cubes to this, and it really emulsifies the entire sauce and really solidifies the chlorophyll in the parsley. And it's so light and it thickens it. So I'm gonna grab my ice. I'm just doing like 3 small cubes in here, and it's gonna be loud, so sorry. You can really tell the difference with it. It goes from this like kind of clumpy green mixture to this solidified, bright, light, like almost lime green mixture. I'm just giving it a stir, and then I'm going to taste it. It's good. Mine definitely needs a little salt and pepper. And you can also, if you're not vegan or anything like that, Parmesan cheese would be really good in this if you wanted. Or I've also made this dish with nuts before to kind of thicken it up a bit. So these are all kind of variations that you can do.
I feel like right now, as you had just mentioned, the ice cubes is like the only place where I'm going to be able to like throw in my hydration tip.
Please do.
So
I can't wait to hear it.
So though you should not drink water while you're eating because it actually decreases the amount of stomach acid and like enzymes that you have to like actually break down your food, hydration is super key throughout your day. 95 to 125 ounces of water per day is like what we need as humans, and that's like without any physical activity, because we are based of so much water. And so that's not all water that we have to like drink, but a good portion of it is. So a good tip of what I try to tell people to do is take your weight, divide it by 2, and that's how many ounces of water you should be drinking a day. The remainder of those ounces that you don't see there should be provided in those whole foods that you're getting throughout the outer skirts of the grocery aisle, because vegetables, fruits, all of those things have water contained in them. So,
any tips for the amount of bathroom trips I'll have to take? So
actually, that is a misconception that like because you drink more water, that you'll have to go to the bathroom more. That's actually there's actually like bladder control possible issues if like you're actually increasing how much you're having to go to the bathroom because of that. A lot of people go to the bathroom too early as soon as they feel the urge, because they're like, oh, what if I don't have time to go later? And like that's the story of everybody's life. We're like living for the next thing that's like on our docket.
Are we gonna get deep all of a sudden?
All this
next thing. No, I'm just kidding.
Here's like a little pelvic floor health from the PT. But yeah, if you constantly are like emptying your bladder too often because, oh, you might not have time later, that actually trains your bladder to not be able to hold a certain amount of ounces during that time. And so I don't remember, I learned it in school, but I don't remember how many ounces your bladder can hold until you have to pee, but it's a lot. And so actually drinking that amount of water, one, you're absorbing a majority of it, and then two, what you are urinating out, you shouldn't have to go to the bathroom as much, because your body's actually replenishing more. Actually, when you're dehydrated, you're going to go to the bathroom, and one, urine's not going to be the right color, but you might be going actually more frequently because your body's trying to like get rid of all the excess salt that you're now kind of carrying because you're dehydrated.
Interesting. Not something I think about when I'm making my sauce. But it's a fun perspective. Also, just so you guys can kind of have a snippet on how I make my food, I just made this sauce and I taste it, and it's a little bitter from the olive oil, just because I probably added more than I usually do. So I'm adding actually a teaspoon of honey into my sauce, and I'm going to blend that up just to kind of cut the bitterness a little bit. And if anyone has questions, Deborah.
A teaspoon of what?
What'd you say?
A teaspoon of what?
I added, so I made my sauce. I tasted it for salt and pepper, and I added more salt and pepper, and then it tasted a little bitter from the olive oil. So
Right.
a teaspoon of honey.
Yep.
Honey.
That's what I did here. Honey.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
You could also use maple syrup too. And this is just me kind of balancing flavors as I go. So sometimes I make this dish and it tastes fine. My lemon was a little anemic today, so I didn't get as much juice from it as usual, which I think is why I kind of want the sweetness from this.
My family makes maple syrup in New Hampshire, and I put it in basically everything. It's hard to go wrong.
Oh, totally.
Maple syrup in my coffee all day long.
I've never done that. That sounds so good.
It's super good.
Was everyone able to taste test their sauce? Because that is super important with adjusting seasonings and everything. Okay, and if you don't like it, there are things we can do to make it better. So let me know.
That's good to me.
Okay, it's really fresh and light, and it's like a really nice staple sauce. If you have any extra, I'd highly recommend it over like shrimp or salmon. Or you could make it as a salad dressing. There's not much that you could do with this that would be bad. Okay, so after you get that all blended, just kind of set it aside. And we're gonna move on to our cauliflower rice. So this is like one of my favorite things to keep in the freezer because I can have it on hand. It takes 5 minutes to cook, so I can pull it out at the end of a long day. I meal prep this for lunches for the week with some tempeh and pesto and literally whatever leftover veggies I have in the fridge. So highly recommend keeping this on hand. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use 1 bag tonight, but in my recipe, like if you want leftovers, use 2 bags because it keeps really well. And so you just want to open it, obviously, and then put it into a pan like this, like that you would boil pasta in, over medium heat. I can smell my sweet potatoes too. They smell so good.
So Hannah, if your boyfriend picked up rice cauliflower, but it was not frozen, what do you do?
The good news is that you do the exact same thing. Put it in the pot. Yeah, no, it's totally fine. And because it's like the cauliflower rice in this bag is so tiny, like it's hardly frozen, it'll take 2 seconds to thaw. So you just put it into your pot on medium heat. And what you want to do is add just a splash of either water, or if you have an open chicken broth in your fridge or vegetable broth, add just a splash of that. And Lauren, I would add it to your non-frozen one as well, just because it helps to kind of steam the cauliflower and just cook it so that it's not like crunchy when you eat it.
Okay.
You can put a lid on or not, whatever you're feeling.
sorry in advance if I'm in and out a little bit. We have a 10-week-old puppy who is getting into some trouble. So there he is.
Don't even worry about it.
He's like, I want attention and sweet potatoes.
If he wants to help you cook, feel free to bring him.
Juno, pick him up, Nicole.
Yeah, we do want to see him. Oh,
Is this Juno?
what a cutie.
He's a cutie,
Oh.
but also a little demanding at times.
Yeah, aren't we all? Okay. So the cauliflower rice will take about just a couple minutes to kind of thaw and cook. I'm just gonna keep my lid on. And in the meantime, I'm gonna check in on our sweet potatoes and chickpeas that I smell in the oven. It smells so good. So I'm just gonna give them a little toss with a spatula.
I just shook mine up. They look fantastic. Mwah!
I know, it's like I never let things burn because my nose lets me know before, but I also never set a timer, so it works out.
My wife never sets a timer either.
Like this
But,
look like
yeah,
right now. They're pretty good, but like could use a little more time. I'm just giving them a toss and then putting them back in.
It smells so good.
I know. I'm like, can you smell it? But you're cooking your own.
Yeah, it's like a 4D experience.
Yeah. Okay, so I just gave them everything like a rough toss. And as you can see, I'm just kind of going by my nose, by how they look, how brown they are. Last night I was doing a class and I actually did kind of forget about the chickpeas, but they got so crispy in the best way possible. So it was all good. Okay, I'm taking the lid off the cauliflower rice and just giving it another stir. There's still some frozen chunks in there, which makes me know that it needs a little bit more time. So I'm putting the lid back on. And then what we will be adding, if you want to get ready to the cauliflower rice, is our, Tim, when you were gone, we chopped a clove of garlic and set it aside on our cutting board that we'll be adding to our rice in a minute. And then you can also get, here's where you can get creative. If you have leftover veggies in your fridge, those can go in here. I don't at this moment. So I have actually a huge thing of spinach. And I figure why not add a handful of greens into the pot and into the hot tub and let it, cook down, and you hardly even notice it, but it's just extra nutrients thrown in there. So I have my garlic ready and my spinach ready. And then we're just kind of waiting for the cauliflower rice to thaw. Just give it another stir. Is anyone on here, are they seasoned chefs with cauliflower rice, or is this anyone's first time, or?
First time.
First time, okay. I'm excited to know what you think of it.
Still my first time.
Oh, I love that. Newbies here. So when you give it a stir, give it a nice pinch of salt and pepper. You need to season the layers as we go. Helps to kind of build the flavor.
Have you put your spinach in yet?
I have not. My cauliflower rice looks like this right now. There's still a little bit of liquid and there's still a couple of frozen chunks in it.
Are you waiting for the liquid to completely dissipate?
I'm waiting for the chunks to dissipate. So in other words, I'm waiting for it to thaw, which is probably any second now.
So I already added my kale, but doesn't kale take longer to cook than spinach? So
Yeah, but you know what I'm gonna have you do?
what?
One extra step. I'm gonna have you put your kale on your cutting board and give it a nice like that.
I already put it in.
Oh, you already put it in. Okay, then fine. That's fine. Yeah, just let it cook down a little. It'll be a little more prominent in your dish, which is totally fine.
Okay.
Okay, so now to the
You messed up, Deborah. You messed up.
You can't eat tonight, Deborah. Throw it away. Okay, so this is what my cauliflower rice looks like now. It's pretty evenly cooked right now, and it smells like cauliflower. And so we're gonna make it taste good. So I'm gonna add the chopped clove of garlic that we have into the pot. And the garlic, it doesn't really have to cook. It just is kind of sweating out a little bit and kind of warming through with the cauliflower to combine the flavors. And then after you add the garlic clove is when you can add your handful of greens or leftover veggies, whatever you may have. I'm adding spinach, just literally about a cup, a handful. Added greens, we love. And then give that a stir and it'll wilt right down. And again, this is such a good thing. I kind of call the cauliflower rice my fridge dump meal because I just use whatever I'm kind of trying to move out of my fridge. You know, like the day 4, day 5 type of ingredients really well in here. Okay. And then once you have that is when you can start to add your cheese. So I know Tucker and some of his clients are vegan. I'm not, so I'm gonna add Parmesan cheese and a little bit of goat cheese or feta, whatever you have. If you are vegan, I did recommend a Kite Hill ricotta. That's what my cousin's vegan, and that's what she recommends. So Kite Hill ricotta if you are vegan, but like I said, I'm not, so I'm adding some Parmesan. And it's nice because it's like this dish is literally entirely all vegetables and healthy carbs. So I feel pretty good about adding a generous amount of cheese. And you should too. Okay, so I'm turning my heat down on low. And so this is what mine looks like so far. A little boring, but we're gonna make it, we're gonna make it fancy, don't worry. But once you get to that point, give me a wave and let me know. Okay, Tim's good. And by that point, I mean when your cheese, spinach, garlic, and everything is into your cauliflower rice. Eric, you can't give a thumbs up. That's just pretending. When you do the replay, you can. And again, mine is just on low on the stove right now. Lauren, are you good?
I'm good. My stove just takes a really long time to heat up, so.
No worries at all. Okay, so what we're gonna add now to the pot, I would turn the heat off. Okay, we're done cooking. And add about half of your green lemon sauce mix into the cauliflower rice. I want to save the other half for garnish because it's so pretty. So add about half and just give it a good stir. This doesn't have to cook at all. It just is kind of like combining the flavors. That's so good. Okay. So I have about half of my mixture, green sauce mixture in there, which is really gonna perfume and flavor the entire dish. And then at this point, I'm gonna go into my oven, and I have a feeling that our chickpeas and sweet potatoes will be done. I'm taking out my chickpeas first because they take less time to cook. And I'm literally dumping the entire thing into the pot with the cauliflower rice. And the cook time for the chickpeas, it's super flexible. If you were busy and off doing something like I was last night and forgot about them, they would get extra crispy and it would be fine. Tonight we cooked them for about 20 minutes and that is also fine. They're still crispy, they're still golden, they look delicious. Okay, so this is what my pot looks like as of now. I have my cauli rice, the sauce, off of it, spinach, garlic, cheese, and chickpeas. Then once you guys are good with that stuff, let me know. Lauren, is your stovetop still being a little finicky? Yeah, no worries.
I'm a little behind, but that's fine.
Okay.
I heard what I'm supposed to do next.
Okay. Honestly, now I'm just kind of like chilling on our sweet potatoes. I feel like the more time in there, the better. Do you have any other points, Lauren, that you were wanting to hit in this conversation?
My last point was just talking about how to actually fuel during a race. And so simple carbohydrates and sugars are honestly what's best during, and because your body can't process complex foods during a high intensity activity or a fight or flight state, which is what you're in when you are competing. So simple carbohydrates is what your body can easily distribute and get to your muscles as fast as possible for them to immediately use. And you want to do about 30 to 60 grams of carbs for every 60 to 75 minutes of running. Now, this depends, this can get a little bit more individual based on like how fast you're actually running and like what your marathon times, if we're like talking about like that long of a duration of a race, are actually going to be. But essentially that's like the basic layout that you're looking for. And a lot of runners that I have worked with, as well as like myself, and like things that like we like to use is like very simple baby food. Baby food can be really easy to digest. Wow. For babies and for adults. And then other brands that I know that are popular, as well as I think one is vegan, is Untapped, which is maple syrup. So they have maple syrup options for that provide that quick release of carbohydrates and sugar. And then Morton, I'm not sure what Morton is, if it's actually vegetarian, vegan. But again, simple.
Don't let the facts interfere with a good story.
Yeah, so Morton is a great brand. A lot of pro athletes actually swear by it, and I've also used it. It's probably the easiest to like get in and get down while racing, in my opinion. So highly recommend it. And like their packaging actually is like just the exact amount that you need. So like you don't have to do any math while you're racing. You just have to like stuff them into pockets.
I love that simplification. Like when it comes to fueling your body, it's like we have enough to think about in our day to day. It's like nutrition is just not one of those things that you need to be over analyzing. So
no,
that's really good advice, Lauren. Thank you for sharing. So I think that the sweet potatoes, they smell done to me. So I'm going to check on mine. And they look pretty vibrant. And there's some brown, black parts on them, which I love. They look nice and crispy. They could go another 10 minutes, but they also could be done now. So I'm feeling that they're done now. Yeah, Deborah, yours look great.
Yeah.
So if you made a ton of sweet potatoes for meal prep or whatever, feel free to set some aside. I only cooked one, which as you saw was There's a whole tray of it. So I'm gonna add that whole thing into our cauliflower rice pot. Like, I think they call this a 1-pan plan or something like that. One dish. Okay, got it all in. Only one spilt on the ground, so we're good. I'm just gonna give that a stir. And again, like, especially if you're not vegan, and literally any cheese would go in this. I've used provolone, I've used mozzarella, goat cheese, feta, parmesan. Those are the 5 that I've used. So if you have any of those, feel free to add them in. And then you just have this huge pot of like healthy nourishment in a bowl, which I feel like is just, it's awesome. And this lasts for a week in your fridge. So it's perfect for meal prep to have on hand, again, so you don't have to think about it. It's just there. And the way that I like to serve it, I'll show you guys a little demo. I like to just put it in a nice big bowl and then drizzle some extra of that gorgeous lemon parsley herb sauce that we made over the top. And it's nice too, like Lauren, I'm sure you can speak to this, but eating all these extra vegetables, it's like the vegetables itself stretch your stomach muscles, which secretes the hunger hormone, ghrelin, and signals to your body that you're full. So actually, like, loading your plate with veggies is really beneficial in terms of regulating your hunger and making sure that you're filling up with these vegetables first to keep you satiated. And it actually keeps you full, right? And then adding the chickpeas, it elongates and manages your blood sugar so that it doesn't spike up after this meal. So I'm just gonna make my plate a little bit more pretty. And also, anyone, if you have a finished product, feel free to do the same. And then I'm just gonna drizzle it with a spoonful of this sauce that we made.
So if you're not supposed to drink water while you eat, what should you drink? Is drinking wine okay? Like
yeah, definitely drink wine while you eat. Answer
Always.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay.
So no, it's ideally the reason why you don't want to drink water as beer. You don't want to drink water as your right before you eat. You don't want to essentially dilute the enzymes in your stomach that help you digest. So a lot of people will like drink a glass of water right before their meal that they're trying to lose weight because they want to fill up faster. Well, what it actually does is it prevents you from taking in as much nutrients as possible, which would actually keep you full longer and actually help sustain you, like Hannah was just talking about. And so you want to have those enzymes ready to help digest that food so that you have energy for longer. So it's not necessarily that you can't drink water while you're eating. It's just that you don't want to be guzzling water as you're eating or right before you're eating so that you don't dilute those enzymes as you are going through that food process.
So Lauren, what would you recommend in terms of avoiding water? How long before or after a meal?
Here, no, I'm just kidding.
30 minutes.
Don't listen to me.
30 minutes. Yeah.
30 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
very short window.
Gotcha.
Okay, I want to take a picture with everyone's finished dishes. Does anyone have a plate to show? Oh, okay. Yes, I knew someone did, Deborah. Okay, Tim's gonna give us 1 minute. Lauren, I'm gonna give you 1 minute too.
Mine is still in the pot. It's only 4 o'clock here, so I'm probably not gonna eat for a couple hours.
That's okay. You can smile and look the part. Yeah. Props to our Central Coast people for tuning in anyways. It's nice because, like I said, it lasts in your fridge, so you'll be good come dinner. Okay, we'll wait for Lauren to get a plate and then we'll take a nice photo.
Question about the what you need to combine, I think just generally when you're cooking to make proteins, if you're, maybe that you already went over this, but like, because the chickpeas alone, right, they don't make a full protein, or beans alone don't make a full protein, or something like that. I remember hearing. Is there like a certain mentality for mixing lentils and beans and things like that?
So Eric, Lauren's mentality is probably more of what your answer is looking for, because my mentality is that this meal fills me up and keeps me full. So that's what I eat. And it's filled with vegetables and whole foods. So I'm good. Lauren, if you want like a more numerical number for the amount of protein in a meal, she's your girl.
So I am not a nutritionist. So I cannot give you that specific information. What's that?
I said, but you like are.
So I can't give you like specific numbers of like what anybody should go for. My biggest thing is like a lot of people overestimate how much protein you actually need.
Yeah.
And a lot of people overdo it. So like, does everybody know those, like, I know we've been talking about like really healthy foods and like, but some people think that this is like a health food, but like those muscle milks or like any of those like drinks, like I just ran Falmouth Road Race, and like in the bag of like stuff that they gave us, there was like this pre-mixed bottle of like a protein shake, and it was like super protein and had 40 grams of protein supposedly in this like tiny 10-ounce bottle. How much protein do you think I'm actually able to absorb?
Probably half of that.
Yeah,
especially
exactly.
in good form, because you're digesting it. Yeah.
So what's the point of me intaking 40 grams of protein in one serving? Because that's what people are going to do. People aren't going to like be like, oh, I can't absorb all this at once. Let me drink half of it now, half of it later. Mind you, it's all like made of like synthetic protein, so it's not natural. But people will just chug it, and like your body just will not take in those nutrients. So you're better off having small doses throughout the day.
I think you dismiss that the ingredients that are in this dish all have a little bit of protein in them, right?
Yeah, and that was going to be my next point, is that like people underestimate. That's okay.
I swear I didn't look at the PDF.
People underestimate how much protein is actually in like a sweet potato when you eat it, and how much is in spinach. And they went through a study where they actually looked at like people just consuming white rice and broccoli. And they were able, by consuming 2,000 calories of white rice and broccoli, mind you, this is not looking at any other factors. Sure. People were able to obtain the necessary amount of protein per day. Now, were these people athletes? I don't know. What was their other factors? I don't know. But the base level, they were able to obtain the necessary amount of protein to sustain a life, and like a healthy life that eating white rice and broccoli. So I think it's underestimated how much actually does add up in a meal like this, because it's not just the chickpeas that are providing protein.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
exactly.
to Eric's question, and I wonder if you can confirm this, Lauren. I mean, he was asking about complete protein, and at some point I heard it said that you don't have to complete the parts of the protein in the same meal, as long as you consume them over, a short period of time, like the rice and the broccoli. You don't have to combine them together. Do you subscribe to that, Lauren? You don't.
Yeah. Your body is going to, like, you can't build the chains just by what you're eating. We cannot control our bodies that way. Our brains and our stomachs and like every other part of us is way, way smarter than we give it credit for. So like trying,
society likes to tell us otherwise, but really if you tune into your intuition, you're actually doing pretty well.
Yep. So you yes, you want to try to have the variable types of proteins, fats, carbs. Like there are different levels of certain things throughout your diet. But your body is going to figure out what pieces it needs more of, and it's going to put those things together for you.
Yeah. No, I love it. Listening to your cravings, that's huge. Lauren, do you have a dish for us to photograph yet?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
And also, once you finish this call, like feel free to take a picture of your dish and post it. My Instagram is Hannah.McKittrick. Lauren, what's yours?
Mine is drlauren.pt.
Yeah, Dr. Lauren. Because we love to see your finished products. Okay. And while Lauren's doing that, she and I will be sending an email after this with like details on how to contact us or work with us. I do have my group program is starting in 1 week from today, and I have 2 spots left. So my group program it's called Cook Well, and it's an 8-week program, and we kind of meet like this every week and do virtual cooking classes to really integrate and drive home that intuitive aspect of cooking healthy foods that make you feel good. So if anyone is interested in that, I'm just going to drop the link into the chat. But you have my email, so feel free to reach out and we can chat more. But that being said, let's take a photo. Okay, so everyone, this is your show off moment. So show off your dish. Okay, that looks gorgeous. You guys all look great. Yeah, Eric, Nicole, it's okay. I'm gonna take a close up. Oh, you guys are so cute. Amazing. Okay. So thank you guys so much. As most of you know, this class was actually benefiting the Greater Boston Food Bank. So we're donating all the profits to them, which is great because I feel like everyone should have a chance to nourish their bodies in a healthy way. So thank you all for supporting that. We had so much fun connecting with you guys tonight. And again, I'll send a follow-up email with our contact info and how you can work with us. And yeah, does anyone have any final questions or anything?
No questions, but thank you. This was great.
Thank you.
Yes, and bon appetit. That's my
Thank
final
you.
word. Enjoy your meal. All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Hannah.
Bye.
Have a good night.